Alright, so a quick recap of what this project is. It is a screw-driven RC Rover designed to be operated remotely over the internet, and will have a built-in solar panel so it can charge up during the day and we drive it at night. When we last left off, the rover had finally come together in real life with all of the chassis parts fully 3D printed in PETG and assembled, and because the thing is meant to be amphibious, we even float tested it to make sure that it actually will work on water. But at that point, there was no electronics yet, no drivetrain, nothing like that. In this video, not only does it get a power source in the form of an old electric skateboard battery, but it also gets brains in the form of a Raspberry Pi. And by the end of this video, we will get it to the point where I can remotely access the rover from anywhere in the world and stream video back to home base on my laptop. But before we get into today's video, a word from my sponsor, me. I wrote a novel. It's called The Storyteller, and it's a biotech conspiracy thriller about an FBI trainee named Quinn who finally meets the legendary crime scene analyst she's idolized, only to find out that the woman is broken, hunted, and connected to a 20-year-old government genetic engineering program called 12 Months. If you like character-driven thrillers with speculative elements, this will be right up your alley. It's available now in paperback, ebook, and is on Kindle Unlimited. Links are in the description and pinned comment, and thank you if you check it out. It means a lot. Okay, now back to the video. If you want to catch up on this project, check out the playlist linked at the top of the screen. So we're at the point now with this rover where it's time to actually start adding in the electronics. Originally, the design called for a Raspberry Pi 02W for control, and that was out of stock like literally everywhere with no indication of when it was going to come back into stock. So I wound up settling on a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B instead, only with a gig of RAM because I don't need that much headroom. I 3D printed a little case for it that I found on Thingiverse. It's only made out of PLA, which I know isn't the greatest choice when it comes to heat, but I did set the thermal threshold for the case fan to 65 degrees to hopefully keep it cool enough to stay away from PLA's glass transition temperature. And if you're worried about the rest of the rover body, don't worry, that's all PETG. Just as a quick refresher of what this rover's mission is going to be, we're going to be using it to explore around remotely over the internet, using a combination of a direct FPV feed, courtesy of a webcam, and autonomous waypoint missions to get out of tricky spots like where there's poor 4G reception. Which means that this thing is going to be left on its own for days, eventually even weeks at a time. So I need to make sure it can handle all of the elements like rain and snow, since we will be using this in the winter as well. And not only that, like I mentioned, this thing is designed to be amphibious, so it really has to protect against water ingress, which means that the battery, the Raspberry Pi, and all of the other electronics need to be kept in a watertight enclosure. So I got this thing off Amazon for 30 bucks, and I've dubbed it the brainbox. When I designed the chassis, I specifically added some bolt holes to secure the brainbox to the deck, and now I have a place to keep all the electronics without them getting wet. For now, I'm just gonna kind of seat everything in there loosely until I get a finalized look at how everything's gonna look when it's in there, and then I'll get some adhesive Velcro patches to attach everything, and that'll make it easily removable if I need to replace an item if it burns out or move things around. I still have to figure out exactly how everything's all going to wire together. It's going to be kind of complex, but the general idea is that a Pixhawk running Ardupilot is going to directly control the rover. By having the Pixhawk loaded up with Ardupilot and a connected compass and GPS, I can run autonomous waypoint missions. Upstream of the Pixhawk will be the Raspberry Pi. I don't know if you knew this, but I actually have a software development background. I've worked as a software developer for over 10 years, so at least I have that going for me when it comes to learning Python and programming the rover. And for this project, I'm using VS Code and having it connect directly to the Pi using SSH. So when I'm editing all the Python files, I'm not editing them locally and then pushing them to the Pi. I'm actually editing the Python directly on the Pi remotely from my Windows laptop. I have a very basic, basically just a Hello World Python program that I have scheduled to load up with the Raspberry Pi when it boots up, and it continuously does checks to make sure it's running, and if not, it loads it up. So I have the basic framework in place for the script that'll eventually control the rover from back here at home base. And for a lot of my testing, I was just directly powering it from a USB port, but when it's running remotely out in the field, it needs to pull power off of that 36-volt electric skateboard battery. And to do that, I just wired up a little dongle that has an XT60 female connector and a USB port on the other end and accepts the battery's voltage range. It worked just fine. I had my Pi and my rover sitting outside on my balcony for a couple hours, powering off the electric skateboard's battery. I'm also thinking about using a small battery bank as a buffer in between the main traction battery and the Raspberry Pi, so that in the event that the main battery cuts out or runs out of juice, I still have a battery buffer to power the Pi to kind of troubleshoot and shut down. Nothing crazy, even like a small 6700 milliamp hour battery could power the Pi at full draw for over an hour. As for the FPV feed, obviously I needed a webcam, so I went and raided the thrift store and I found this 720p really old webcam for $10. For this project, I don't need anything crazy anyways, because we're not going to be pulling high resolution over the 4G connection, especially in more spotty areas. More than likely, it's going to be kept at 360p or potentially even lower. After experimenting a bit, I got GStreamer set up on the Pi to send video and on my laptop to receive the video. And at least at home on my local network, I successfully got it to stream video while I was out on my balcony to my laptop while powered off of that skateboard battery. Now the thing is, that only works as long as both devices are on the same network and they can see each other. If I want this to work while the devices are miles, potentially even hundreds of miles apart on completely different internet connections, I need to set up a VPN so that both devices, even though they're on separate connections, can see each other as if they were on the same network. That's the only way to get GStreamer to work. And for that, after some digging around, I found something called Tailscale. So I got that set up on my Pi and on my Windows laptop, and after some experimentation and tweaking, I used my phone's internet hotspot as a stand-in for the 4G dongle that the Pi will eventually use, and I was able to successfully access my Pi through Tailscale. After I got that working, then came the final test that I wanted to do for this video. Remote FPV feed over the internet. I took my Pi, a battery bank, a webcam, and my phone down to my car outside in my apartment building's parking lot. I set the webcam up on the dashboard so that it will at least have something interesting to look at. Turned on my phone's hotspot, plugged in my Pi to the battery bank, and then I left everything in the car, including my phone, and then went upstairs. So let's see how that FPV test went. All right, so as you can see, I've got the stream actually running through my cell connection, and the frame rate is not that great. We get occasional packets of good connection, and then it drops out here, and as you can see, it looks almost like a static image. But the proof of concept works. We're getting live camera feed from my Raspberry Pi in my Nissan Leaf downstairs. I just have it pointed across the way at the parking lot of the building next door, just to kind of watch the trees and stuff and get like motion in the camera so I can tell that the frame is working. Oh, you can see someone walking across the parking lot right now. The frame rate's not all that great. Now that could just be because it's going through my phone. My phone is inside of the car right now. A lot of metal around it, probably blocking the signal a little bit and reducing throughput. I have this set to 360p widescreen right now, 30 frames a second, and it's yeah, it's live. It's pretty crazy. I would certainly call that a resounding success, and with that, a large chunk of the unknowns for me for this project have now been cleared away. I can now contact, interact with, and stream video from my RC Rover from literally anywhere in the world as long as it has a cell connection. As for what's next, the expensive part, outfitting this thing with the electronics, the drivetrain, the Pixhawk. The best thing you guys could do if you want to help out is to check out my novel. Proceeds from that will go directly to funding the build, and hey, at least you get something really neat out of it in return. If you're new to the channel, I'm all about gaming, electric vehicles, and outdoors adventuring, often a combination of all three, so make sure you're subscribed if you're into that shit.